Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be doing a playthrough of the first scenario from the game Old School Tactical Volume 4, The Italian Theater. This is called SAS Raiders. The game, of course, is from Flying Pig Games, designed by Shane Logan, and is a Mark H. Walker game. This is, of course, as I just said, Volume 4, bringing the series to Italy. First scenario is titled SAS Raiders. It is July 10th, 1943. Cape Moro de Porco, Sicily. And it's basically, instead of me reading the description, if you wanted to, you could actually pause the video. And if you have a large enough screen, you could actually read it yourself. But this is British Special Forces attacking an Italian gun battery of 152 millimeter guns as the invasion is about to, or is underway for Operation Husky. And they're trying to clear these guns so that they can't attack the British 5th Infantry Division or 5th Division. And we don't know what the commitment of the Italian troops is as far as how willing or how hard of a fight they're willing to put up. So this is a 9-turner. We use the main map. Our map coordinates are delineated here by our map strips. We start at column S6 or hex S16 is our kind of pivot point, and so we go from here west to the west border and also down to the south border. So this is our play area. So we do have control hexes that are secretly chosen by the Italian player before the start of the scenario. These are linked and must be within 4 hexes of another control scenario. 1 is placed on the board and the remaining 3 are hidden. Hidden control hexes are immediately revealed, and you place a control counter when any British unit moves within 2 hexes of them. The British unit does not need line of sight to the hex. A control hex is captured immediately when a good order British commando squad or reduced squad moves into the hex and you remove the control counter. So they must also be at least 3 hexes from any board edge. So we've got 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3. So it's basically like 1, 2, 3. So it's basically from like this area. It's basically in this area. Well, it could go all the way over here. It's like this square in the middle. What I'm going to do is, because I'm playing solitaire, I will just put one out. 1, 2, 3. Let's put one in this building right here. And then as far as... So what we'll do is, whenever anyone gets within, so if we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So basically, if they get into row, what is this, J. If they get into row J, I'll roll a die, or they get to here, which would be 2 away. When they get to L, we'll check to see if they're within 1, 2, 3, 4 of this one. So if they get within 6 hexes of this hex right here, we're going to roll to check, unless it's up here where it would have to be at least 3 away. They have to be within 4 hexes. So it could also be, once they get, like I said, once they get to I, or within 2 hexes of I, we'll check. And up here won't matter because they still have to be at least 3 across. So it's basically I-19 down to I-24. So anywhere in here within 2 hexes of this row will make me check. I'll roll a die. Odd will be yes, even will be no, and we'll put another control counter down. That's how that's going to work in this scenario. To win, the British must destroy the guns by capturing all the Italian control hexes. The Italian player wins by denying the British victory. For the Italian forces, they have 6 rifle squads, 1 heavy machine gun, 1 lieutenant, and a sergeant. 2 light machine guns will start. This is their at-start forces. They have to set up anywhere west of P, and P is this row right here. So west of that. And then on turn 7, and again, in this game, you count down. So it's a 9-turn. We start with 9. 9 is the first turn, and then we count down from there. So anywhere on turn 7, rather, we're going to get an additional 4 rifle squads, a sergeant, and a light machine gun that are going to enter on the left map edge. On the British side, they're going to have 6 commando squads, a sniper, 1 commando lieutenant, 2 light machine guns, and 2 satchels, and they will enter on the first turn here on the east side. So I'm going to set up the Italians, and then we'll come back and start with the scenario. Okay, the Italians are set up. So here we have a heavy machine gun, a rifle, and Sergeant Altieri. They are in some brush, which gives them a +1, and it's also degrading terrain, although that won't really matter all that much. We have a rifle squad up here. They're on a level 1 elevation. That is a steep slope right there, and they are also in brush. Then we have another rifle squad over here. They are in an orchard. And then we have a light machine gun and a rifle squad here. They are elevated. And then this one is actually elevated to level 2. And then over here we have a level 1 rifle squad in a building. Our first control hex, of course, is right here. Then we have Lieutenant Cantatori, a rifle squad, and a light machine gun over here. They are in a building as well. That is a heavy building, or a heavy structure, which gives a +2 bonus for defense. Now, our British forces are going to enter along the east hex side, which is this guy over here. Let me just straighten this out. There. So they're going to come in here and attack, obviously, to the west. Our Italian reinforcements, as I mentioned, will come in from the west. So that is the setup, and now it is time to begin play. Okay, first thing we're going to do is do our impulse roll, and I need to grab my dice tower. All right, we'll roll the British first, I guess. They get a 2d6 + 1. That is an 11, which becomes a 12, so that's going to be hard to beat. And the Italians get an 8. So the British, I kind of got ahead of myself. I did an impulse roll. So the British will have 13 impulse points, and the Italians will have 8. And let me roll for initiative. So that is British. Whoops. I had moved it off. There we have 12-4. So that gives initiative to the British. And as I said, we'll give them 13 impulse points, and we'll give the Italians 8. All right. So with 13 impulse points, we can start moving our units on here. So we will start with this stack right here, which is Lieutenant McPhail, a commando squad, and a light machine gun. They will enter on the road right there. A quick check of the terrain chart indicates that road costs 1 movement point for foot, and they are behind a wall here, so that affords them with a bit of cover in terms of 2. It's also degrading, and it's behind an orchard, which blocks line of sight as well. So they're invisible basically to these guys here at the moment. Now that will change once they get probably here, because I think, yeah, that's going to cross through the orchard. So that would be 1. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move this whole stack. If I can grab, I can't grab all of them. We're just going to move them here. So we're going to jump the wall and into the orchard. And what that does is that costs us, orchard is, or vineyard, I guess, vineyard grove. I keep calling it orchard, but it's a vineyard. That costs 2, plus the cost of jumping the wall would add 1. So that would make them 4, and then they would be marked as moved. I'm just going to put a moved on there. Now, the nice thing is they're blocked because they're above. They're at a higher elevation. You see the elevation mark. These guys are at ground level, so they can't actually see them because they'd have to trace through the elevation, and the elevation blocks line of sight. So they're invisible to this guy. They're visible to this one. Actually, no, they're not, because they have higher terrain in between them as well. So that was actually a pretty good move. Now here, I think they would actually be visible if they were in this orchard hex because of the it would trace right down this spine here and into there. Now they do get a 2 on the for defense there, but still, that's dicey. So that would be the first of the impulses for the British, leaving them with 12. Now I am using my mats here. So here's the impulse points for the British. This is on the 2. And then over here is the 10 marker. It's a little bit off shot, but that's just the way it worked out. The Italians are up here. They have 8, as I mentioned. So I'll be using these, but they'll be off shot most of the time, only because I'd rather, and I'm sure you guys would too, have the camera focused more on the action that's taking place on the board. Now, because the Italians have only 8 impulse points and the British have 12, the Italians can pass, which actually makes sense for them in this situation because they're basically playing a waiting game. So we'll go back to the British and then we'll use their second action here. And we'll take 2 more commando units and we're going to enter them at the bottom down here and bring them in right here. And these are 2 commandos and a satchel moving as a, actually no, they can't do that. 1 commando and a satchel moving into S26 here. So that being a farm, that costs 1. So I didn't mention this, but I've already drawn luck cards for both sides. This is the Italian one. It is an artillery strike, so we may use that if we wish to at some point, and I'm sure we will. On the British side, they got on edge, which means play after moving a unit or group at end of move, all adjacent enemy units must take a gut check, becoming shaken if failed. This is pretty much a massive card for them in this scenario, because any Italian unit that becomes shaken and fails a gut check will have to surrender. All right, so they moved here. It's at the bottom. I'm not showing the bottom couple rows here just because I wanted to tighten it up a little bit, and most of the action I feel like is going to be in the center anyway. I will, of course, pull out or pull the camera angle, the depth of field. Not depth of field. The zoom. Pull the zoom back so we can see the bottom couple rows. So they moved here, and that cost them to move into a farm, cost them 1. Now, here's the issue, though. Where they are right now, the farm is not, it's farmland. It's not blocking terrain. So the machine gun here, it's not blocking and it's not degrading. And this is clear here. So we'd be looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The range of the rifle squad is only 4, but the range of the machine gun is 10. So they get to take a crack here via opportunity fire. Okay, so our heavy machine gun is going to elect to fire here. The thing is, you can opt to have intensive fire, which makes your fire a little bit less, but it automatically makes the unit that's doing it shaken. And we know that if an Italian unit becomes shaken and fails a gut check, they surrender. And in this case, their gut check number for this scenario, which I did not mention as well, and I apologize, that is a 9 for the Italians and a 6 for the British. So you're rolling 2d6, getting a 9 or above is tougher than getting, obviously, a 6 or above. So they're not going to use intensive fire. They're just going to use regular fire to attack the commando squad here. Okay, so here's our infantry combat table. So we do have a die roll modifier for an attached leader, but that's the only one we have. We don't have any firepower modifiers, and there will not be a leader casualty roll. So we're going to start in the +4 column because their firepower is 3 and they get 1 for the leader. But we have to subtract the defense of the commando unit, which is a 4, so that puts us in the 0 column. But they do get a +1 on the die roll. So we will roll 2d6. And let me move this in more. They get a 6, which becomes a 7. So a 7 is shaken. 7 is shaken. So they are shaken. Let me move that back out. Shaken, and we'll put a shaken marker on them. Like so. And then we'll put a fired marker on the heavy machine gun. Now that does cost an impulse point to both the British, of course. Since they're shaken, they stop. They can't move further. But the Italians also lose an impulse point, and the British get to go again. So we know now that there's a machine gun here. If we didn't know already, but we did. But anyway, just to kind of keep things moving here, we're going to move another commando unit in, and we're going to go here, which of course costs 1. Then we can go 2. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. We can fire on them. They can also fire on us. So we'll have to do, we're in range to fire at them, but they can do opportunity fire again, this time with their rifle squad, because the range is 1, 2, 3, 4. And they do have a 3 firepower and a range of 4. They also have a leader. So we're basically going to have the same exact thing. It's going to be a 4 minus the defense. So it's going to be column 0 again. And no, it's a 3. I'm sorry. It's a, yeah, it's the same. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I just realized I think I was in the wrong column. So the firepower had no modifier, so it was a 3. And then we subtract the 4 from the 3, which would have been -1, and a 7, and that is still shaken. So that's okay. But we need to remember that we're in the 0 as we get an 8 this time, and we're in -1, and an 8 this time is broken. So we'll put a broken on there. And they'll have to stop. And now they're done. So I'm just going to drop I'm going to move this fired marker to the top of the whole stack to indicate that they're done. And again, that's another impulse for the Italians and 1 for the British. So we're down to 10 now. We move another commando unit in. So we're going to bring in our sniper. And he's going to go here. That costs 1. And then he's going to move into the orchard and stop. And we'll put a moved on him. Now, since they're already fired, they can't do anything there. This will move us to 9. And I'll take that away because we only have 9 impulse points left. Now, the Italians, maybe we should move somebody. So we have this rifle squad right here. He has a light machine gun, but he can't see. Or maybe he can, because I believe he's on. No, he's not on a crest, and he's a lower. Maybe moving there would not be moving there would not be a good idea. This guy he could see because he's uphill and he's not on. Maybe he can't see him. He's at level 1 and he's at level 2, but there's a level 3 intervening in the line of sight, so that would prohibit him from these guys from seeing each other. Then we have this guy over here who is they're at the same level. They might be able to fire at him. What's the range? 8 of our light machine gun. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. So instead of moving here, because they'll pass again. Actually, he has a machine gun, but his range is only 7. Key difference there. So since the Italian machine gun does not have the range, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. His machine gun, we're going to pull this off because we have 2 fire actions we can take. And actually, that means these guys could fire again as well. So, before we do the British action, because I forgot about that, they can fire again. So they will fire. We can do a group fire, actually. because we have the machine gun and the rifle squad, and these guys are in range. And they're already broken. Okay, so we're going to fire both these guys, which is 6. They get a +1 on the die roll for Altieri. They'll fire at this unit right here, this commando unit. Their defense is a 4, so it's 6 minus 4 is a 2. So we are in the 2 column. Let's move our dice tower in and roll our dice, see what we get. It is a 7, and a 7 in the 2 column here is another broken. So unfortunately for these guys, a second broken on a unit that's already broken does not do anything. So they're just marked used now. So that gives them, they have 5 impulse points left. The British are at 9. So as I said, they're at 9. Let's rally our sniper, or at least attempt to. So to make a rally roll, and I just remembered something that I should have noted earlier, and that is when you have a unit that becomes shaken or broken, you're actually supposed to roll a gut check right then to see if they are in fact shaken or broken. And I did not do that, so I will live with the consequences for now. But what I was going to do is try to rally this guy from broken. To do that, you need to roll a 9 or higher. So we'll roll 2d6. I got a 5, so that failed. So that leaves them with 8. Now, we're back to the Italians. They really don't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they're short with their machine gun range on being able to hit anybody, so they will pass. They have 5 actions, so they're still lower than what the British have, which is 8. So the British will try to rally the sniper again. And this time they succeed with a 10. So the broken comes off. And that leaves them with 7 actions, or 7 impulse points, I should say. You know what? I forgot to check. I know some impulse actions cost 2. I don't think I've done anything yet that requires more than 1, if I remember correctly. But the Italians will still pass because they don't have anybody that they can really do anything with, or that they really want to do anything with, might be a better way to put it. So now that the British have rallied, I rallied the wrong unit. I was trying to rally the sniper, who's not needing to be rallied. I was rallying these commandos, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4. See, if I move forward, I'm gonna move into the range of these guys. They already moved, so I do need to put a moved on them. So forget that. We're going to fire. So we're going to attack. We have a firepower of 6. These guys are in brush. That gives them a defensive benefit of a 1. So we'll add 1 to their machine guns defense of 3. I think that's what that is. So we're going to fire at the machine gun crew. It's a crude weapon. Defense is 3, so they'll have a 4. Firepower is 6. They do not have a leader. So we're looking at 6 minus 4, which is 2. So we are in the 2 column. So we will roll 2 dice. And get a 7, which seems to be a popular result, as you would expect. The 2 column, a 7, is broken. Okay, so now the Italians' gut check number is a 9. So we'll roll for them. We'll let them use the black dice. 9 or more, which they do not get. So their heavy machine gun is broken. And these guys are used now. So that leaves the British with 6, and the Italians still have 5. So the Italians will now try to rally this unit, because if they don't, they surrender. So we will try to rally them. They need a 9 or better. And they got it. They got it. So we take the broken off. And they do not surrender. That leaves them with 4 impulse points. And the British will now have their sniper take a shot at... One of the special abilities of a sniper is that they can elect to attack the leader only. Now his firepower is only a 2, but the range is only 1, 2, 3, 4. And Altieri has a rating of 4. So it is on the -2 column. But it does also say that when they attack them, when they attack a leader or other snipers or an armor leader, their firepower is doubled. So we're going to be on the 0 column. And we got a 4, which is pretty low, so that's probably not going to do anything. So here's a 4. And in column 2, a 4 is nothing. Nothing. So that is one more impulse point used. Now the Italians, he can fire one more time, and I think they can actually fire one more time too now, because they only fired once, and these guys have also not fired. So maybe we should have McPhail fire. Oh, that's right, he can't right now because they don't have line of sight. Oh wait, yes, I don't think they have line of sight because these guys are right behind they're behind the hill. And I forgot the defensive point for their terrain as well. We'll try to rally our shaken unit here. So to rally from shaken, you only need a 7 or better. And it looks like they're going to get it. So this goes away. Once, unlike some games and some flying pig games specifically rather, when you rally somebody, they would get marked as used or ops complete. But in this case, play just resumes normally. So that used up their impulse point. They're down to 4. The Italians also have 4. So the Italians can now pass, and it will cost them an impulse point to do so, but that's what we're going to do. So they're down to 3. Now the British will have their unit here fire again at the machine gun. Why not? And that is, again, it's a 6. You know what? Maybe we won't. No, they already did move. I already established that they did move already. I so much want to move them up, but I can't. Not till next turn. So actually, let's just bring somebody else on. We only have 4 movements left, and we have 3 more units to bring onto the board. So let us bring another commando unit with an attached light machine gun, and we're going to bring them in here, up in the corner. That, of course, is rough. Or not, no, I'm sorry, not rough. It's brush, which only costs 1. So they could go, because they're out of range of this guy, so they could go 2, and then they would have to climb up a level, and going up a hill is 1 plus cost of terrain. That is clear terrain, so that they could move here and be at 3. And now these guys can take a shot at them because they're on the same level and they are in view. So they've got a firepower of 3. Their defense is 4. They get no terrain bonus, so we're in the -1 column. And they will roll. And they get a 4, and a 4 in the -1 column, I'm telling you right now, isn't going to be anything. Here's -1. 4 is Zippo. Zippo. Okay, so they have now fired once. And because they didn't do any damage, they could move 1 more, I believe. But we'll stop right here. And we'll put a moved marker on these guys. Now that, whoops, not fired, moved. The Italians are down to 2, the British are down to 3 in terms of impulse points. We're going to have the British fire on these guys because they used their impulse point to attack. So the impulse goes back to the British, I believe. I mean, I know it does if they actually hit, but they didn't hit. So actually, it is the Italians' turn again because they did not get a result where they would stop the unit, that being shaken, broken, or casualties. That would make them stop. They stopped of their own volition. Therefore, these guys can fire again, so they will. They'll take their second fire action. Again, we are in the -1 column. And they rolled a 12. That's a big number. A big number's good. So -1, 12 or greater, X. And X, as you might guess, is destroyed. Destroyed. That is the worst possible result. I believe the weapon comes off. Well, the weapon stays, I think. I think the weapon stays, but the unit has been killed. So since we've had a unit killed, we now have our first casualty points of the game. So that gives them 2 points, the British that is, for casualty points. So I'm going to mark that on their tracker, and we'll take a look at that again at some point. So they now have 2 casualty points. That leaves the Italians with just 1 impulse point left. We go back to the British. We're going to bring another unit on. And these guys are now used. Oops, it's upside down. So now these guys will come on. That's 1, 2, 3. They can pick up that unit. They'll get a moved marker. Actually, they'll move 1 more, and now they'll take a moved marker. That leaves the British with 2. The Italians, 1, 2, 3, 4. These guys could... can they fire? I don't think they can. They're too far back from the ridge, so these guys can't fire. These guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they can fire, and they will. So that's a machine gun. It's got a range of 7. It's only 1. Their defense, as we know, is a 4. They are in clear terrain. That's brush. That's also brush. That is -2 degree. It's going to be a -3 shot. Let me see what that gives them in terms of, well, they can still do something if they roll high enough. So we'll take a shot there. This is a -3 column attack. And it's a 4, which is nothing. So that is the end of the Italians' impulse points. We'll just mark these guys fired just because we can, even though it doesn't matter. Now the British still have 2 points left, so they get 2 turns in a row. We're going to fire here. They're a defense of 3. They are in brush, which gives them a defense of 4. Their firepower is a 6, so we are in the +2 column. We will roll for the British. We'll use the white dice. And we get a 7, and a 7 in the 2 column is broken. So the Italians will now need to roll a gut check. They'll need a 9 or greater. They get a 6, so they are broken. They don't have any impulses left with which to try to rally. So we're going to attack them again. Same thing in the 2 column. And it's a 6 that time, and a 6 in the 2 column is a shaken, which will not have an impact since they're already broken. So these guys are done, and that is the end of the British impulse points and the end of the turn. So we don't have, obviously we ran out of impulse points. There is nothing else to really do at this point, I believe, except end the turn and move on to the next turn. But knowing that the special rule for the scenario, Italian units surrender if they fail a gut check when they are broken shaken. which they did. Immediately remove the unit from the game and score casualty points as normal. Any support weapons with a surrendering unit are also removed. So these guys are going to be surrendered, and that will give the Italians 2 casualty points as well. As you can see up here, these are the Italian casualty points. They have 2. Their impulse points are at 0. Down here, the British casualty points are at 2, and this is their impulse just off shot here. That's also at 0. That is the end of the turn. Next would be a cleanup phase where we'll remove our markers. And since the video is getting longish, I'm going to actually stop here. I do plan on doing a second one, so we'll pick up with turn 2 in a separate video, so you'll have something to look forward to. Probably later this week, if not early next week. I'm not ready to put the game away yet, for sure. So there will be more on this, although I do need to continue to do other things and so on and so forth. So look for more Old School Tactical Volume 4 here in the not too distant future. Probably sooner rather than later, for sure, because I do have to keep the game set up. But that's going to do it for now. I do thank you for watching. As always, please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. If you are a subscriber, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Feel free to make corrections, leave comments, ask questions, etc. Always appreciated. I do like to interact with you guys, so if you have something to say, feel free to do so. But that will do it for now. So I'm Joe. This is the Hexed Encounter channel, and until next time, as always, happy gaming.